Welcome back to the channel USD Coins, coin enthusiasts, collectors, and curious minds to another deep dive into the fascinating world of numismatics. If you've ever sifted through your spare change, wondering if a small coin could be worth a fortune, then this video is especially for you. Today, we're going to uncover the secrets behind one of the most talked about coins in US coin collecting history, the 1979 Liberty Quarter Dollar. Believe it or not, there are versions of this coin that collectors are valuing at prices as high as $8 million. Yes, you heard that right, $8 million. And no, this isn't a rumor or urban legend. The incredible valuation is driven by a combination of rare minting errors, historical significance, and an ever-growing interest in American coinage anomalies. Let's begin by getting to know this coin a little better. The 1979 Liberty Quarter, officially known as the Washington Quarter, was part of a long-standing coin series that started in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the decades, this coin has undergone subtle design changes, shifts in minting processes, and alterations in materials used for production. By 1979, the quarter was already in its modern clad composition, copper sandwiched between two layers of nickel. But what makes the 1979 quarter special isn't its intended design, it's the unintended errors and unusual features that slipped through quality control and into circulation. What collectors are truly chasing are those rare examples of the 1979 quarter that contain striking anomalies, mistakes that occurred at the US Mint during production. These anomalies include double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, planchet errors, and more. But what truly sets some of these coins apart, and elevates their potential value to millions, is a combination of these errors along with specific mint marks, particularly those produced at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Each mint has its own unique characteristics, and the way they produced quarters in 1979 led to a number of collectible variations. Let's talk about the mint marks for a moment. In 1979, quarters were minted in three primary locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. While the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced coins for circulation, the San Francisco mint mainly created proof coins, which are specially made for collectors with high detail and a mirror-like finish. But even among these proof coins, things didn't always go as planned. One of the most famous and sought-after errors associated with the San Francisco mint is the Type 1 and Type 2 S mint marks. The Type 1 mint mark is a blob-like S, lacking sharpness and clarity. This was corrected partway through the year to the clearer and more defined Type 2 S. While the change might seem minor, it's monumental to collectors. Proof coins with the Type 2S mint mark from 1979 are much rarer than their Type 1 counterparts and are highly prized. Now, imagine if that proof coin had additional minting errors layered on top, like doubling in the design, or a planchet struck multiple times. That's when values start to skyrocket, but let's not overlook the Philadelphia and Denver minted coins. Many 1979 quarters from these facilities made it into circulation with other types of errors. Some feature double dies, where the design appears to have been stamped twice, slightly off, creating a shadow-like effect in the lettering or images. This is especially noticeable in areas like Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. Others have dramatic off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't properly aligned during the minting process, leading to missing portions of the design or blank areas of the coin. There are also examples of coins with die breaks or cuds, raised areas on the coin where part of the die broke off and left a malformed imprint. Another reason the 1979 Liberty Quarter has gained such notoriety is due to a very specific rumor that has persisted for years, that a very small number of these quarters were mistakenly struck on silver planchets instead of the usual copper-nickel clad. To understand why this is so significant, we need to look back at 1970 when the US Mint officially stopped producing 90% silver quarters. However, transitional errors are not unheard of in coin minting history. If even one silver planchet was mistakenly left in the machine and used in 1979, that coin would instantly become a one-of-a-kind rarity. The chances are slim, but the possibility alone is enough to get collectors buzzing and prices soaring. Adding to the mystique is the fact that the 1979 quarter came at a pivotal time in U.S. monetary history. The late 1970s saw significant economic changes, inflation, and a shift in public attitudes toward money and investments. Coins with historical context, especially those linked to turning points in national policy or economic behavior, tend to attract more interest. Combine that with limited quantities, minting errors, and high-grade conditions, and you've got a recipe for a high-value collector's item. Speaking of condition, one cannot ignore the importance of coin grading when it comes to determining value. The Sheldon coin grading scale, which ranges from 1 to 70, plays a vital role here. A 1979 quarter with errors, in average circulated condition, might fetch a few $100s. But the same coin graded at MS 67 or higher, especially with full mint luster and strong details, can multiply in value exponentially. Coins graded at proof 70 by services like PCGS or NGC, particularly those with the rare S-Type 2 mint mark or other dramatic minting anomalies, are the ones that make headlines with 6- or 7-figure price tags. There are also legends surrounding private sales and collector auctions where coins with extraordinary error combinations have changed hands for astounding sums. While not always publicly verifiable, these anecdotes often refer to ultra-rare specimens with layered minting mistakes, such as a proof coin with a double strike, an off-center error, struck on the wrong planchet, and bearing the rare Type 2S mint mark. While such a coin may sound fantastical, numismatic history has proven that improbable combinations do occasionally slip through the cracks at the mint. Another compelling factor is the rise of online marketplaces and social media, which have made it easier for collectors to share information, verify rare finds, and drive up competition for limited pieces. What was once a quiet niche hobby is now a booming community, with forums, YouTube channels, and Instagram pages dedicated entirely to error coins and rare mintages. A single viral post about a 1979 quarter with unusual features can send waves of excitement through the community and dramatically increase perceived value. Some of the most fascinating stories come from people who had no idea what they were holding. Imagine finding a 1979 quarter in a roll of coins from the bank, only to later discover that the coin has a minting error so rare, it's one of only a few known to exist. These are the stories that feed the fire of interest and keep people searching their spare change in hopes of striking it rich. That we also have to consider the psychological and cultural impact of coins like this. There's something inherently exciting about the idea of hidden value, of overlooked treasure sitting in plain sight. The 1979 quarter has become a kind of modern-day myth for coin collectors, not just because of its errors, but because of what it represents: the chance that an ordinary item could possess extraordinary worth. That possibility ignites curiosity, fuels speculation, and drives relentless searching. On the technical side, understanding how these errors happen adds depth to the appreciation of such coins. The minting process involves multiple steps: blanking, annealing, upsetting, striking, and quality control. At any stage, a malfunction can produce an error coin. If a die becomes misaligned, a double die can occur. If the feeder mechanism slips, a coin might be off-center or partially struck. If a planchet meant for another denomination is mistakenly used, it results in a wildly incorrect coin composition. These aren't intentional flaws, they're industrial anomalies, rare glimpses into the complexity of minting tens of millions of coins. With 1979 quarters, some of the most prized variants have combinations of 2 or more of these flaws, particularly when preserved in pristine condition. Even slight differences, like a tilted mint mark or a barely perceptible die chip, can have huge ramifications for value when verified by reputable grading agencies. Now, let's revisit that $8 million figure. While some might scoff at such a high valuation, remember that in the world of collectibles, value is often determined not only by rarity and condition, but by demand, provenance, and historical relevance. If a particular 1979 quarter exists with an exceptionally rare combination of errors, such as a double die obverse, off-metal strike, proof finish, and a rare S-mint mark, it becomes not just a coin, but a unique artifact. A one-of-one item. In that case, Its value is not dictated by face value or melt value, but by what a collector is willing to pay to own a singular piece of American minting history. There are precedents in the numismatic world for coins reaching similarly astronomical prices. The 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle sold for over $18 million. A 1794 flowing hair silver dollar went for over $10 million. These coins achieved such heights due to rarity, condition, provenance, and the stories attached to them. The Wright 1979 Liberty Quarter, with all the right attributes and backed by a compelling story, could very well belong in this elite category. Today, we're turning the spotlight on a coin that has baffled collectors, stunned appraisers, and gained the attention of numismatics enthusiasts around the world. We're talking about the elusive, legendary, and extraordinarily valuable 1981 P Liberty Quarter, a coin that on the surface looks like just another 25-cent piece but has been appraised in some cases at an astonishing face value of $5.5 million due to a combination of rare minting errors and highly unusual production anomalies. Yes, you heard that correctly. $5.5 million. For a quarter. The kind of coin you might find in change from your local grocery store or slipping out of your couch cushions. But as with many rare coins, the value is not in the denomination stamped on its face, but in the story, the error, and the mystery behind its existence. The 1981 P Liberty Quarter has become the stuff of legend in the numismatic world, and today we're going to take you on a comprehensive journey through its history, how such a coin came to exist, what makes it so special, and why collectors are willing to spend such vast amounts of money to get their hands on one. Let's begin by setting the stage. The year is 1981. Ronald Reagan has just taken office as the 40th President of the United States. MTV has aired its first broadcast. The Space Shuttle Columbia completes its first mission. The world is changing, technology is accelerating, and yet amid all this, the U.S. Mint is continuing with its routine production of coins for circulation. Among the millions of quarters minted in Philadelphia that year, one would imagine that each was just like the other, uniform, standard, reliable. But hidden among these mass-produced pieces was something different. Something unintended. Something flawed, and in the world of coin collecting, that's often where the magic begins. Mint errors are not uncommon. They happen due to equipment malfunction, human error, or unexpected anomalies during the minting process. Most are minor, a misalignment here, a weak strike there, but every so often, a coin escapes the mint that has a combination of errors so rare and so visually and technically fascinating that it becomes a prized possession. The 1981 P Quarter with a face value of just 25 cents has been one such specimen, rumored to feature a combination of dramatic die breaks, double strikes, off-center misalignment, and even misplaced mint marks, all in a single coin. Let's unpack what that means. First, the P Mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint didn't traditionally mark its coins with a P Mint mark on quarters until 1980, which means that 1981 was only the second year quarters bore the P mark. This detail already makes early 1980s Philadelphia quarters a bit more distinctive in numismatic circles. But more importantly, it sets the context for the kind of errors we see on this coin. Some versions of the 1981 P Quarter that have fetched extraordinary value feature a mispositioned or even missing mint mark, which leads experts to theorize that the mint die used was improperly engraved or reused from earlier templates. It's also possible that worn dies, which should have been retired or replaced, were used longer than they should have been, creating faded or distorted imagery, but that's just the beginning. One of the most striking features found on certain examples of the 1981 P Quarter is the presence of a double strike, a condition where the coin is struck more than once by the dies. In this case, it results in overlapping or shadowed imagery, where parts of Washington's profile appear slightly duplicated or shifted. When this occurs, it often means the coin failed to eject properly between strikes, and the dies stamped it again, producing what's called a double-struck error. These types of mistakes are rare on their own but become even more valuable when the double strike is dramatic, clear, and affects important visual elements like the face of the president or the lettering around the rim. Adding to that are reports of coins with broad strikes, errors where the retaining collar fails to properly enclose the coin during the strike, causing the metal to spread beyond the standard diameter. This results in a coin that appears flattened or pancaked outwards, with distorted edges. When a double strike and a broad strike occur together, you end up with a dramatically flawed coin that doesn't look like anything else that came out of the mint, and to collectors, that's gold. Let's also talk about die breaks and cuts. These are fascinating because they reflect literal damage to the minting equipment itself. A die break occurs when part of the die used to stamp the image onto the coin develops a crack or even breaks off completely. When this happens, it leaves behind a raised, jagged blob or ridge on the coin, known as a cud. Some 1981 P quarters exhibit sizable die breaks, sometimes over the letters in Liberty or even through Washington's hairline and jaw. When these errors are present in combination with other anomalies like off-center strikes or missing design elements, the coin enters a category of extreme rarity. Some numismatists argue that the $5.5 million valuation comes from a single known specimen that featured nearly every known type of mint error rolled into one. Not just a double strike or a die break, but a fusion of multiple striking anomalies that produced a coin so unique it is believed to be truly one of a kind. Think about it. If one coin out of hundreds of millions shows errors in the mint mark, features a dramatic double strike, was struck off-center, exhibits a broad strike, and has large die breaks, it essentially becomes a work of accidental art. Another theory suggests that at least one of these valuable coins may have been struck on the wrong planchet, that is, the blank metal disc intended for another denomination entirely. For example, a quarter accidentally struck on a dime planchet would result in a visibly undersized coin, with incomplete imagery, misaligned details, and missing rim inscriptions. Alternatively, a quarter struck on a foreign planchet, or even one intended for a commemorative issue, would also yield significant collectible value. These planchet errors are rare but not unheard of, especially during busy production years. So how could such an extraordinary error occur? Sometimes it's as simple as human oversight. The mint produces billions of coins every year, and despite rigorous controls, mistakes happen. A batch of incorrect planchets might be fed into the wrong press. Dies that should have been replaced might continue running due to production pressure. A mint worker might forget to correctly position or replace a component. When these factors stack up, the result can be a coin that defies minting norms, and becomes the stuff of legend. Now, you might be wondering, if such a coin exists, how would someone even find it? And how would its value be determined? This is where numismatics becomes part treasure hunt and part forensic science. Typically, such coins are discovered accidentally, someone going through change, a coin dealer sorting inventory, or a collector examining coins under magnification. When something unusual is spotted, a doubling in the design, a strange shape, or missing elements, the coin is then authenticated by a professional grading service such as PCGS or NGC. They use microscopes, metallurgical analysis, and reference databases to confirm if the coin is genuine and to classify the type and severity of the errors. In the case of the 1981 P quarter, the few known high-value specimens have been graded and verified to possess a rare convergence of minting errors, enough to justify a multi-million-dollar valuation based on uniqueness, demand, and condition. Part of the allure is also the story, the fact that this coin was never meant to exist, yet does, and that it passed through commerce unnoticed for decades. There's also a growing community of collectors who specialize in error coins, individuals who look beyond the pristine perfection of standard coins and instead chase after the beautiful mistakes, the unintended oddities. For them, the 1981 P quarter represents the Holy Grail, a coin that embodies the complexity of minting and the unpredictability of machinery, time, and chance. Adding to its mystique is the fact that no official documentation has ever confirmed how or why the specific errors occurred on this coin. Some speculate that a transitional die from a previous year was accidentally used. Others believe it could have been a test strike that was mistakenly released into circulation. There are even conspiracy theories suggesting that a rogue mint employee may have created the error intentionally, a numismatic act of rebellion. Whatever the truth, the result is the same, a coin that commands attention, excitement, and, yes, millions of dollars. If you're thinking about checking your change jar after this video, you're not alone. The possibility that a rare and valuable error coin could be sitting unnoticed in a drawer is a thrilling thought. And while the odds are slim, they're not zero. In fact, some of the most valuable error coins ever discovered were found by ordinary people: a grandmother sorting coins for fun, a teenager collecting state quarters, a mechanic counting his tip jar.